I'm Rudy, the filmmaker,
And I'm Casey, the cinephile.
and this is Two Guys, One Movie, and we are going to be reviewing Godzilla. Godzilla. I keep saying Godzilla, but I know it's Gojira. Gojira.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
No. Come with me. Okay, anyways. So, my first things on this movie, I'm going to take you back a little bit, and I'll talk about a lot of iconic films to me that kind of helped me as a filmmaker. It's either helped me learn or set the foundation of stuff that eventually A, I want to do, or B, I can learn from and make my own thing from. And one of them is the 1999, I believe it was 1999, Godzilla.
Oh.
With Matthew Broderick, Hank Azaria. Okay.
That's a lot of fish.
Yes. All those actors. I loved that movie. And I know a lot of people are going, but it was so phenomenal to me. I had it. I rented it from the VHS station downtown. Yeah, VHS. Yeah. I rented it. I probably say every other week. I'm not even kidding. When it first came out, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I hated Matthew Broderick in it, but it was great. And then when I got the soundtrack, oh my God, that Puff Daddy song was on freaking repeat, man.
Yeah.
Every day. I got to the point where I could rap all that. Here I am, 12 years old, and I can rap the whole damn thing. I think my mom got pissed off at that. But anyways, that to me was great. And so when I found out they were going to be rebooting this, I was like, what?
Right.
I wanna see it right meow.
This is either going to be awesome or so bad it's awesome.
Yes. And then and before that, there was a movie I saw. I try to watch as many independent films as I can. And
Okay.
there was this movie I saw that had about a $500,000 budget. And it was shot in Mexico. It had two American actors in it. I believe it was two American. I don't remember. One of them might have been British. But it was, oh my God, it was astounding. And when I started reading the background, it was sci-fi, of course. I like sci-fi.
Right.
And when I started reading the background of this film, I started freaking out because I'm like, just this guy, this one guy. He shot it, he wrote it, he directed, he produced it. He had $500,000 budget. People are like, "Oh my God, $500,000! That's really nothing when it comes to filmmaking world." I mean, they'll spend that in a freaking hour on something like Expendables 3 or something.
Yeah. They'll spend that on the craft food.
Yeah. So I'm just like, this guy, he's essentially doing what I want to do.
Right.
He did this whole freaking movie by himself with this. But anyways, so the movie was phenomenal. By the way, it's called Monsters. And I started looking at who the hell is this director? And it turns out it was this man named Gareth Edwards.
Okay.
And by that time, I was getting more back into filmmaking, so I started looking up, software to use, and I used Adobe Creative Cloud, which a lot of my filmmaker friends are gonna be like, yay. But anyways, I started using that software, and they had a piece on him. They did like a promotional piece saying, "Oh, look at this filmmaker using all of our software to build his film," and it turns out it was Gareth Edwards, and I fell in love with him immediately. Yeah, Casey, that's the right one. Casey just pulled up Monsters IMDb. It's a great film for an independent film, by the way. If you love sci-fi or drama or any kind of thriller, it's great. But the reason I mentioned Monsters is that landed him Godzilla.
Okay.
That landed him a Godzilla. If anyone asks, if you go back and see all of his films, which that's the only one I know about, but I'm sure he did more. If you go back and look at all of them, none of them were to the scope of this Godzilla. None of them were like this Godzilla. And they couldn't have picked a better director. They could not have picked a better director. And he had that grand scheme. If you see Monsters, you know what I'm talking about. But he had that grand scheme plot, which is what people were upset with about this movie.
Yeah.
Which I think made this movie for me. So as a reboot from the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love it. And I like the fact that they put Aaron Taylor Johnson, kick-ass. He played the kid in there, and I like that Bryan Cranston's in there. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan, so I like that he was in there. Even had Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah, the Olsen twins' little sister. She played the wife, his wife, I think. Yeah, which I like that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but some of the characters died.
Yeah.
I like that they weren't on there the whole time. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't even about Godzilla. It was about these characters. You had three parts. You had Godzilla, the monsters he fought, and the story of the humans, all the human stories. So you have these 30%, 30%, 30%, and then you have 10% at the end, which was putting all the story together.
Yeah, because you had Bryan Cranston's family. You had like the scientists and that going on in the army. You had like his son and his family.
Yeah.
But one thing they kind of thought that was going to be bad because they had the little kid in there, and I thought it was going to end up like annoying like little kid, but he was just there for a little bit, and then he's off to find his family. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, you're talking about when he was on the train?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God. Here we go. They needed a kid comedy relief or something.
Yeah, because that's like Gamera. Have you ever heard of Gamera?
Mm-mm.
It's another one. He's like Godzilla, only he's a nuclear turtle. But they had a little kid in there, sidekick kid.
And I also like the humanity aspect. I know that we talked about the 30% of each. We had the monsters, you had the Godzilla, you had the humans. I like the human aspect they did put in it. Like, him trying to almost sacrificing himself,
right,
to do what he had to do. I don't want to give anything away, but in case people haven't seen it, but just he didn't. He seemed more like a real person. That's what I meant. Like somebody who was like, okay, I've got to do this because, I'm gonna,
being
the main kid, the son.
Oh, okay, right.
The soldier guy.
Okay.
He got like
the
with that
soldier
team.
Boy.
Yeah, Soldier Boy, Benito. Anyways, but
Superman, that hoe.
Yeah, we get it. He ends up joining like this little rogue military group that's running through.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Well, my biggest problem, and my biggest problem is the problem a lot of people have with this movie is they like tease so hard. They'll be like, oh, there's going to be a monster fight. And then they go to that.
Yeah, but that's how he was. That's what I'm saying. You have to watch Monsters because there'd be like this crazy shit going on the screen. And then he'd be like, oh, yeah, look at this flower.
Well,
he was like, oh, shit.
I understand that, but it's like, it's really hard not to compare this to a Godzilla movie.
Right.
And
no, I get it.
It's like, and also, well, and actually, I'm not saying I'm comparing it to a Godzilla movie so much as a Godzilla fan. I came here for Godzilla.
Right, and I think that's what half the fans are upset about. They wanted to see Godzilla just wrecking havoc.
And it's like, they're going to get into a fight, and then they go to some kid who's like, oh, look, there's dinosaurs on TV, and then they go back and just show you, like, the aftermath.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh.
Well, some of that, I'm an editor, so some of that is the editor decided to do that. But I guarantee you that was Gareth Edwards going, hey, go to the TV in the room.
Which
then switch back to the aftermath. It'll be great. Which that's fine. That's his vision. That's what directors do. But I thought it was. If they couldn't have picked a better director.
I mean, when it finally got into that last fight, and that last fight, holy cow!
Yeah, no, and I like. Speaking of the last fight, I like the monsters that they picked.
Yeah,
for him to fight.
Yeah,
and I like the science behind it. It made sense.
Yeah,
it made sense why they were traveling the great distance. It made sense what they were doing. What did make sense to me is why Godzilla decided he had to. No, I think they said that he was hunting. Or he felt threatened or something.
Science guy started to explain it, and I think maybe that was like one of the scenes that got cut for time.
Okay.
Because they had the Asian science guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's smart because he's Asian.
You a doctor yet?
he's Japanese, so he knows about Godzilla. But I just want one thing this movie has over the Matthew Broderick, and this isn't spoilers, but Godzilla fans, he uses his nuclear breath.
I saw that. I thought that was awesome.
And especially the way they do it.
Oh,
because he charges it up.
Yeah, and I can't even explain to you that's what I'm talking about in Gareth Edwards. He knew that had to be important. He knew that had to be epic.
Which I was, just to set the scene, I was watching it in the Galaxy drive-through with my buddy, and
Which
we're
is
watching
a drive-in, by the way.
drive-in, not the drive-through.
Yeah,
I always
where you
make
actually,
that mistake.
Yeah, I know. But anyways, you park and you watch it. It's the old style. Go ahead.
But we were standing outside of our cars, and I was like, oh, I hope they have that. And as soon as I said that, his tail lights up, and I was like, I squeed. I was like 12 years old again.
Exactly. And I mean, just from epic.
And the way he like beats the last one.
Oh yeah, it's so great. It's so great.
But
so total random fact about Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy from Kick-Ass who played the son. He's in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
What?
He's gonna be. That was loud. He's gonna be playing Quicksilver.
Oh.
So, anyways, that's a cool thing. I don't really want to go into Avengers yet. That's a whole nother podcast.
But also, I think we could probably do like Kick-Ass 1 and 2 as maybe a combo one of these days.
Yeah, I think people would like that.
But
totally digress there.
But yeah, no. The way I break it down is, for me, as purely a Godzilla fan and not as really a film guy to say, or a movie guy, to me, this Godzilla was just that fight.
Yeah.
That's what that...
Yeah.
To me, it was wading through all the other stuff to get to that fight. And I'm not saying I was super bored, but I kept, when he kept teasing those fights, I'm just like, oh, just punch something.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, do you buy, pass, or rent?
I'd say rent it. I say if you haven't, personally though, I say if you haven't seen it on the big screen, you have missed out on this movie.
Yeah,
this
agree.
movie was made for the big screen, which is why I watched it at the drive-in, because I was just like, if this is a movie for me to go old school on it, this is the movie.
Yeah.
And unless you have like one, which maybe you do, but unless you have the big screen with the home theater,
Yeah.
this movie is really going to lose a lot.
Yeah, and I agree. And I actually went and saw it at the new part of the theater. They just built on a new part of our local theater, and it's like got Dolby 9.1 Atmos, surround sound. It's got a badass projector in there. I mean, it is crystal freaking clear. And I saw it in that, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
I think it was one of the first movies they put in there, because it was right when it opened.
Yeah. But it's kind of like Gravity. Gravity is one of those movies you need to watch in IMAX. I'm not going to watch that, by the way. I can't. No, I couldn't get through.
No, dude, we totally need to have.
Fear. That's a fear thing for me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a fear thing for everybody. Being trapped in space in a spacesuit.
I couldn't watch the trailer.
Yeah, no, it was. But that was still, the suspense of that was awesome. But we totally need to have a sci-fi. So we just like knock out like 10 sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
A sci-fi podcast. That would be awesome.
But anyway, yeah. Rent it. And then if you like it, buy it. But for me, this is just a once watch, and then that was enough for me.
Yeah, I say it's about every damn movie, but buy it. Buy it. Right, meow. I think it's perfect. I really have no complaints about it. I like everything that there is about it. Everything that it is about it. It's great, but I have a man crush on that director. So
I think what we're gonna have to do eventually is just make the list of the movies we own.
Yeah.
I think that would say a lot about you and a lot about me.
Yeah. No, I agree. So anyways, this has been Two Guys, One Movie. I'm Rudy the Filmmaker.
I'm Casey Zinva.
And we'll see you later.
Keep it real.